Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Bear with me while I get set up here. It's another one of those days where we just barely get it all together. Let's say 30 April. Um, Check our audio. The frame rate doesn't look good. Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check. Okay. And now let me switch to chat and we'll see what you guys have to say. Get myself really still there. Okay. Let's pull up the articles and we started. Actually, Dan sent us over a little something here. Let's see what he sent. Oh, baby's not happy. Yeah, let's start with Dan's articles. They look pretty cool. Music. Oh, I see. Dan sent me a YouTube video. That's why there's music. I didn't show us a YouTube video, and that's a good start. Let's. No, everyone else doesn't want to go. We're off to a great start. June, hello, good to see you. Did I say good afternoon, good evening, good day, good morning to those of you on the West Coast? Sorry. Let's pull up the articles here. Oh, it opened up everything he sent me twice. Okay, so let's start with this one. I'm not sure what it is. I didn't look at them in advance. But hey, we've done the Blocker Reacts thing a couple times. And then at some point I'll find my notebook because I did save a couple articles in it, and then we'll go from there. All right, so Dan sends us Mullen Automotive is currently testing new technology in DC. It doesn't look like an autonomous car. I mean, it does, and that Cruise Automotive uses the Bolt, but I don't see any raft of sensors. 680,000 federal contract. Installation of energy management module. Oh, so these are going to be probably vehicle to grid, eh? Significant improvements in range. So this is a new EV control module then. Interesting. Got a press release. Dyno testing, EMM install, road test, dyno testing, back to service fleet. Okay. So would this be more for automakers that aren't really good at making EVs? Because that's what I'm hearing. I wish it went into more of what the technology was. They make EVs more efficient. Could be snake oil. Could be true. Right. He also sent us this one. Tesla sues German gas station giant over EV charge replacement. Tesla partnered with Dutch charging company Fastned, yes. Oh, okay. So together, the two largest charging networks in Europe are suing German gas giant Tank and Rast. Let's see. Is it because they're getting relegated to the unsafe portion of the lot? The dark, dingy corner? Suing over charge replacement, yes. So it's in that line. 95% of the gas station rest stops along the German Autobahn. And it's because the business was a government agency privatized in 1998. Ah, okay. So they had a head start. Tesla is suing because Tank and Rast recently acquired a controversial permit to build out EV chargers at its locations, which would quickly grant the gas station operator a near complete monopoly in charging along the Autobahn because they already have all the gas stations there. Fair enough. At this point, Tesla can't block them from placing chargers, but alongside with Fastned, Tesla hopes to be granted the right to place chargers at their locations, which the automaker argues would ensure consumer choice and availability. Yeah, as much as the EU likes to kind of constantly make sure that there's competition, I think that's a good idea because you can have the gas station, which used to be a government agency and is now private. You can have Fastned, so if you don't have a Tesla or if you don't like Tesla for some reason, you can do that. And then you have Tesla, and they already have in a good chunk of Europe, they already have their non-Tesla supercharging enabled. So between the two of them, like even if they take Tesla takes half and Fastned takes half, plus the gas station has them everywhere, then you have consumer choice everywhere. Especially if something happens like somebody hacks the infrastructure, you could have all the gas station chargers down, but still have one of the other two available. Something like that. So Fastnet rep stated that the two charging operators should have the opportunity to place chargers at the locations, not only as a way to expand customer offerings, but also because charging is fundamentally different than fueling. Yes. Da, da, da. Yeah, it's all about competition. Fair enough. Greetings, Timothy from Phoenix. I think that's a worthy lawsuit there. Let's breeze through Tesserati real quick before I close this tab. That'll be interesting. Maybe not for the show, but definitely interesting. That's not as interesting for the show, but it'd be fun to watch. I mean, we all knew this. All right, so they're saying there may be a price cut on Teslas in Europe. I'm not even going to bother with the article because it's looking like pure speculation. Let's see here. All right, Jim Farley, we'll see what you have to say. Oh, that's cool. I like that. More spacious seating option. That's interesting. And let's see. Why would we vote against JP Strobel? He was there from the beginning. All right, I'll have to look at that one for sure. Da, da, da. I think that's enough from Teslarati. So let's look at what we oh there's a cool bit. Let's look at what we pulled up so far and then go from there. And we talked about the Rivian towing software update, and I watched the interview, and it was pretty nice. They talked about some Q&As from like looked like they were pre-prepared, and if you have Rivian and you tow, or if you have Rivian and you just like the software updates, I think you're in for a treat based on what their manager was saying at that interview. All right, so let's move on to oh no, let's not do that. I'll read that one later. We'll go here. All right, so they're saying Tesla supercharger reliability continues to dominate the industry. Go figure. They're not really setting people's cars on fire and locking them out and that sort of thing. And by on fire, I mean like just blowing the fuse. Let's see. The cool story about the quasi monopoly at Autobahn rest stops. Yeah, I think so. And uh, as much as they push competition, consumer choice, this would be a very good opportunity for them to walk the walk. Good evening, Anders. Good to see you. So let's see what kind of metrics they're using for the supercharger reliability situation and how much more head and shoulders above it is. This is coming from Rate Your Charge. I think this is Kyle Connor. I know he's got a charge rating situation, so this is probably it. So let's see. Thank you all for tagging. Yep, so yeah, it is. All right, so out of this sample, Tesla had 0 failed, 3 bad, and 38 good. Others, 15 good, 4 bad, and 3 fails. EVgo, they're usually pretty good for me. Had 11 good, 4 bad, and 3 failed. ChargePoint, that one's usually hit or miss for me. And I'm assuming this is the DC fast charge points, because I don't imagine that the free 1772s are going to end up with this chart. So they had 4 failures and 2 uh, bad out of an additional 8. We were good. 62 Electrify America is good. 56 bad. Oh my goodness. And 1 completely failed. So I'm guessing that the fails are the whole site, and the bads are you have to shuffle the plugs, because I see 0 in Tesla, but 3 bad, and they tend to have a lot more plugs at every site. The most notable statistic is the overall charging experience indicator, which organizes categories into the good, bad, and failed. If a website with the numerous qualifications that must be met to achieve a good charge rating, and what will be categorized as bad or failed. So good is a successful charge, an accurate smartphone app, and full charging speeds on the first plug-in, and more than 50% of chargers are working at full speed. Okay. Bad. Users were still able to charge their vehicles, but the experience was not up to our standards. Check-ins are classified as bad if the charge was successful, but the user experienced at least one of the following: faulty or incorrect smartphone app, charging speeds limited by the charger, needing to replug for any reason, having to call customer support, 50% or more charges at the site are limited or down, and 5 or more minutes waiting at a full site. Ah, I wonder if some of those bads weren't even mechanical, but maybe they just had to wait in line. That would still be bad. Um, let's see. Failed check-in. A failed check-in occurs when the users are not able to charge the vehicle at all. These are our least favorite, and these are the worst scenario, and may even leave EV owners stranded. We believe failed check-ins are unacceptable. I agree. All right, so over time, here's the Tesla good check-ins. And then there's ChargePoint, which seems to have taken a little drop this last week. Whereas everybody else, other than other, was kind of trending up. Kind of like they made recovery from the previous weeks. All right. So that's a Twitter account that I want to be tracking there. Ratio charge. It is Kyle from the team that I was back. There we go. All right, so I guess you just report in on Twitter, and then they do the data collection for you. That's even easier. I like that. Okay, next up. This one's no surprise. Toyota owners are turning to EVs faster than anyone. If you're going to have a conquest sale from Toyota, like if you were already into the hybrid and plug-in hybrid, uh, where else are you going to go? That's why I ended up with Chevrolet, because the Japanese didn't have anything for me at the time. So I went from a Prius to a pair of Civic hybrids, just because I was doing more long-range, high-speed commuting. And then when I had the opportunity to go back to a Prius, because I'd gone back to lower speed commuting, like not just all straight shot freeway, there were no plugins for them for me. They had an 11-mile Prius Prime at the same price as my first Chevy Volt, so I bought the Chevy Volt. I looked at a Leaf, but it just it was a close call on my commute when it was new, and this was before we knew about the heat degradation, and they did design the Lizard batteries, so I would have put myself in a pickle had I actually picked that Leaf and been like, yeah, we can work through all the little issues. I did like the Leaf better as far as the experience on the inside. It was not my style on the outside, but I'm also the guy who reserved an Aptera and a Cybertruck, so who want to talk about exterior styling, eh? um, and so for the longest time, Prius owners have been jumping to Tesla and other EVs. So let's see what this report has to say about it. Probably more of the same. So data released by CarMax shows that Toyota owners are trading their vehicles for EVs more than any other brand. See, if you made a respectable EV option, Toyota, you'd have some people buying your stuff, and the VZ4X isn't it. and none of your primes are it. I'm not saying that they're bad choices for the people they work for. I'm just saying that they are not good on mass market appeal and pricing and all of that. And they know this. They just, you know, they have their pride. They can't admit it. All right, so let's see. What else did Carmack say? I mean, yeah, the Prius was successful, and we were expecting you to continue that track, and you just dropped the ball. Since then, the brand has become dedicated to hybrids. Yep. And of course, you've got that whole fuel cell boondoggle, which very few of us have a station nearby. And then, of you with the stations nearby, how many have a working station? And who wants to pay the prices more? Well, depending on who you bought your hydrogen car from, you might have free fuel for a while. But if you're paying for the fuel, the hydrogen typically costs considerably more than the gas does, and it doesn't last more than the gas does. It's kind of in between an EV and an ICV on range per fueling session. Right, so according to the report from CarMax, Toyota owners represent a record 12% of customers trading from ICV to EV, and Toyota held the position, followed closely by Ford and BMW in second place, and Honda at 8% and 10% of customers. Yeah, Honda has the same situation there. They've got their rebadged Blazer coming out next year, this year, and then Chevy's got a bunch of cars coming out this year. I've got some Chevy in the notes or in another window. Let me get to them after we finish with this article here. Let's see. Most popular EV, the Model 3, was the most commonly traded vehicle. Was the Honda Civic. That makes sense. And the second most was the Toyota Tacoma. That's quite a swap. Go from a mid-sized pickup to a mid-sized sedan. Let's see, the Nissan Leaf was the most commonly traded. For non-Tesla EVs, the Nissan Leaf was also traded for a Prius. So it was number 2 there. Okay. All right, let me find my notepad and then we'll. Why is it on that screen? Let's put it down here where it goes. Oh, I broke it. Well, at least it knew what I was trying to do. Put it in the right place, but then hit it. All right, so let's go to the live streams. Well, those aren't the notes I was expecting. That's okay. Just means I have to find the tab with the one I want. Come on. There you go. All right, let's do one of these movers. Oh, that's the one we're in. All right, so we're going to go here next, just because I mentioned the bolt and I was going to forget. The bolt is done, which is very unfortunate. And I get that there wasn't much future for it, except for if they just kind of kept the name and then built it themselves. The problem with the bolts is that it was actually built, assembled by GM, but it was actually built by LG. So it gave them limited ability to do more with it. And they've already staked their future in Ultium, and somebody suggested, well, why not retrofit this thing for Ultium? And then it was pointed out that there might not have been the will to do that after the massive recall and the kind of volumes and profits they were looking for. What disappoints me about it is that this kind of moves the new starting price for an inexpensive EV up almost $6,000, because we're going from the Bolt, just the regular Bolt, not the Bolt EV, base option, to the Chevy Equinox and the Chevy Blazer, which will be more profitable for GM and they'll be more scalable. But the prices are just, we need more affordable EVs, and coming up $4,000 to $6,000 is a step in the wrong direction. Then it says, I bet they wanted to get away from the Bolt and Volt rhyme too. Yes, absolutely. They got now they have two canceled cars, and you can say, oh, the canceled one. Which one? Doesn't matter. Alt. uh, so at this point, they're still making them, and they're going to stop later. This is the last model year, so they're going to stop soon enough. And right now, the prices are still going to be low. I think the price will start to trend upward as the supply dries up. And what I would say is perhaps at the lower prices, this will be a good deal. But as the prices start to go up, I would suggest it's a bad deal. GM has a really bad record of supporting their canceled EVs. They're supposed to support them for 10 years legally, and I don't know how they're getting around not doing this. There's been many reports of people with not 2012 volts, but that same generation of volts, like 13s and 14s, and well, I guess some 13s are already out now, but to the point where they should still be supported, and you need major parts, and just GM just can't source them for you. And I don't know if they're using the excuse of, oh, pandemic supply shortage, blah blah blah. Um, so if the price is right, I would say it's a good deal, but I wouldn't pay an inflated price for a Bolt, knowing that it's going to be in that same position in just a few years with GM. They'll have supplies for the next 3, 4, 5 years easy, but when you get to the end, like the 8 years, pushing that 10 years, I don't know that I can trust them to do this. We've seen it several times over with the way that they just get out of an EV. Uh, you could probably say the same for all their other old cars too. Their whole dealership argument was like, "Oh, this is why you have independent dealerships so that this doesn't happen to you." But I think the only reason that they were okay with Saturn and Oldsmobile and the others is because Saab is because of the massive amounts of part sharing and just rebadging. So they still actually had another version of that car still on sale. We saw this most poignantly with Saab because they didn't share as many parts as the other GM brands, and it was the same thing. Like, oh man, I need this and that part, and having trouble finding it. And it just got worse with the EVs because they were lower volume than even Saab was. Then it says if Leaf is canceled, too, unconfirmed, then that becomes a problem. Entry level Aptera becomes 250 miles. Uh, Leaf is winding down. I don't know if they have said it's been canceled, but it's definitely winding down. The Aria is going to replace it. And as you said, they are not in the same price category. That one's even worse. It's over a $10,000 price jump from the base models with discounts and all that. And I'm not as sad to see the Leaf go. I mean, I am not happy to see that the price point goes away, but the current Leaf is not that changed from the initial Leaf back in 2011. Even the refresh, it just seems to be like a new skin. It's got all the same hardware constraints that people didn't like the subwoofer taking up the floor, like through the load floor. It seemed that they just kind of lightly massaged the electronics, put better batteries in it, put a heat pump in it, and then and not like a Model 3 style heat pump because they still have the air cooled battery that is just completely passively cooled with no fans. Uh, so that one I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. I'm glad it did, but yeah, and they have the new battery technology, so it doesn't burn up in hot environments. By burn up, I mean just like degrade way faster than it needs to. All right, so the plant that makes the Bolt and the Bolt EV is actually already started the construction of their changeover. They're going to be making EV pickups because, of course, more profits. So these are going to be made in the U.S. These EV pickups, but the Equinox is going to be made in Mexico. And I assume the Blazer will be too. And so they just need the space. So they've already started their work on the outside of the building and the areas that aren't affecting the production lines. But at some point, they're going to shut down for tooling, and that's probably going to be the end of the Bolt, because once you shut it down for tooling, why retool for this when you need to retool for the big trucks that are about to come out? The other problem that we come into is GM is really bad at starting these programs. They're late, they're underperforming, they're slow. So you're canceling a program that's up and running and at speed for one that's going to have to start from zero. And I mean, yeah, you have to do it eventually, but why not make sure the Equinox and the Blazer are up and running first before you stop the Bolt and start the pickup trucks? And yes, you'll have the same problem having to start and stop the pickup trucks, but nobody's missing them right now. There are people waiting on them, but nobody's missing them right now. Whereas, the Equinox is actually still bigger than the Bolt EUV, and as Eddie tells us, it's got that same old SUV look. Whereas the Bolt looks kind of like a mini Ute, but it's not quite that same. Just like, let me see if I can't find that graphic. Where do I want to do this at? Let's do it here. SUVs all look the same. Images. Yep, this is the one I was looking for. Share this tab instead. So this is what Eddie is talking about. Oh boy. So you've got, unless you own one of these cars or you're a car aficionado, once you blank out the wheels and you put them all in the same white or light silver, they don't look that different. I mean, there's a difference. Like, here's a BMW. Just saw a Mercedes in here somewhere. It looks like a Ford. But, like, again, I'm a car enthusiast, so, like, if I sat down and, like, I could tell that's a Nissan, it's a CR-V for sure. But, like, if you just glance at it, like, there's a Lexus. They're all the same. The CR-V again. All right, now you just blaming me. You put some of the same ones in twice. Anyway, this is a play on that graphic, then, it seems, because they just repeated it a couple times in a row. But this is what Eddie's talking about. There's just that same old SUV look, and so losing that little bit of difference is kind of also sad. Let's go back here. The one saving grace, but doesn't help everybody because it does move the price up, is that we do have the tax incentives, and they will probably still qualify for all of them if your income does. But if you were needing the tax credits to get it so that you weren't pulling a stretch, now you're stuck on the used cars, and the used car incentive. And I'm not saying the used cars are bad, but if you were looking for a new car, now you can't. And on the used car incentives, the income comes down, and the amount of car you can get comes down, especially with the way the used car market has been going so far. That will change as supply recovers, but you only get $4,000 back on the incentive for a used car, and only if somebody else hasn't already taken it. Let's see what else they have to say about this thing. Yeah, so see, they've already started on the outside of the facility. Now the ally pace will outlast the Bolt. Words I never thought I'd see myself writing. Ooh, sick burn. That's despite the addition of an even more versatile Bolt, the Bolt EV, which still managed to keep the starting price well under 30,000. Yes, that's the part right there, because the Equinox, they said it would start in the 30,000s, not at 30,000. And then you've got the dealer mess that goes on top of it. Now, like its predecessor, the Volt will die because GM needs the Orion plant. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Automaker sent over a list of reasons why its expansion of the Orion plant is good news. $4 billion investment will triple the workforce, and doubling the plant's footprint and converting production over to Ultium-based trucks like the Silverado EV will help GM reach a production goal of 1 million EVs by 2025, they say. We'll see. You're still making less Hummer EVs every quarter than everybody else's hand-built stuff. So we'll see. GM says it expects to build more than 70,000 Bolt EVs and Bolt regulars this year before production ends for good. The death of the Bolt doesn't mean the death of affordable EVs at GM, however. Among the 3 EVs that launched this year, the Equinox EV is expected to start at less than 30. Okay, so that's different. I could have sworn they said 36. I want to read the comments, and I want to see what they're saying the price is now. Okay, so this is why they did this after the fact. So they ready a 30,000 Equinox EV crossover for 23. Because when they were talking to us, it was definitely low to mid 30s. Crossover with 200 miles of range. That's what sells in volume. Yep. You forget those of us who read car magazines and ours are a small minority of actual buyers. The people who think of the car the same way they think of a washing machine. It's there, it does a job, you don't have to worry about it much. That's true. All right. No, I could be mistaken, but for me, I could have sworn it was low to mid 30s for the Equinox. If they bring it in at the same price, I really still doubt it's going to go up at least $2,000 to $3,000. Then that's not as bad. All right, where were we with this one? Let's see the comments on it. That's what I wanted. Also, if you think about it in the context of CO2 emissions avoided, even with the larger of those trucks versus Bolts, taking a pickup truck off the road, that's a bigger deal than a Fit. This is true, but I don't think the GM is thinking of it this way. They're thinking $80,000 a piece because that's what they're charging consumers for pickup trucks. I don't know if they're going to try a work truck model like Ford and Tesla did and try and pull it in at 40 grand, because as we saw over the weeks that Ford is no longer at 40 grand themselves. The work truck. Let's see. Maybe they should build a parkable small truck about the size of a full-size sedan for garden tools and golden retriever hauling. I like that. I think that I had a 1995 Nissan pickup, 5-speed, automatic mirrors, and air conditioner, but manual windows. Um, that was a good sized truck, and I think that is what most people, even most truck people, need. Not like everybody, can deal with that. Some people still need to tow. Some people do need to haul contractor gear, that sort of thing. But I think for most suburbanites and urbanites, that is the most practical pickup truck, and you can get it in the crew cab. Well, you can make it in the crew cab. You can make it in the standard cab. I don't imagine you'd still sell many standard cabs today compared to the crew cab and the extended cab. And because you're using less metal, and it's still a pickup truck, so you can get away with the fuel economy cheat that they. It's not a cheat, but skirting slash being lazy or whatever. So yeah, so with it still being a truck, you can still get away with doing less, putting less effort into it, and you can still make a profit. It's still simpler because it's a square box and a small cab, and then you just put in your airbags and whatever else your customers are wanting. I think if you bring that back and then fix your marketing campaigns, because you've always been pushing bigger, bolder. You're an impotent man if you don't have a pickup truck that can't see a small child standing in front of it. They come off of that. I think that they can make more, because the lighter, smaller trucks will need less batteries, smaller motors, less steel, aluminum, whatever you build the things out of. They can still find themselves a profit in that, and who doesn't want to be able to part like the Ford Maverick right there? If you say, hey, look, you got a city truck. You can do your moving in it. You can go to the hardware store. You can go to the thrift shops, and it can still tow a little bit. That's what most people need. You can rent a bigger truck if you don't have to do heavy work every day of the year. give him an update on that. Uh, doesn't matter if you build a practical car if nobody buys it. SUVs and cars that look like SUVs sell. This is true. That's easy. The last 2 decades, I've been watching the climate die. While far from the only cause, Americans' innate need for bigger, bigger, bigger is certainly a factor. But I guess the bright side of this is that as we drive ourselves into extinction, it'll be a comfortable ride. Yes. GM had an Equinox EV on display at my local auto show recently, and it looks super nice compared to the Bolt. Yeah, I don't I don't say that the Bolt is like the nicest and most luxurious and coolest, but it was practical. It was as Bennett said, it's about the size of a Honda Fit, and I like that they saved on the infotainment system by just saying, "Hey, bring your phone, you deal with this, and we'll cut $200-300 off the price of the car." Let's see. No way the Cybertruck gets to 40K. Maybe Warhammer 40K. They're definitely not going to be at 40K anymore. But that's the reason that the F-150 Pro whatever Lightning was at the 45-49,000 mark, because Ford assumed that Elon time might not take effect on this one. They were wrong. Exactly. We buy what's advertised, and so all you need is a good couple study groups and a decent marketing team, and enough volume and proper pricing and features to make that practical truck a thing again. I mean, look at how many people miss being able to just go to the grocery store and just chuck your bags over the edge of the bed from waist height. Now, if you want to do that on a current truck, somebody who's taller like me, I'm not tallest, but I'm on the upper side of normal. Um, the truck bed comes to my chest, so I have to reach. I have to reach, and if I'm carrying anything heavy, that's not ergonomic. So now you have to go to the backs of the bed for something that could have just been a simple tops over the edge just a few years ago. A two-seat truckload itself, absolutely. Only problem with the truckload is it would distract Tesla from what they're doing right now. But with Project Highland, I think that would be something they should look into. That would be great. Yeah, 2 seats. You couldn't do 3 because you had to figure out an airbag with the screen situation. Or they could do 3 or 4 if they do the rear seat passenger perpendicular to the direction of travel. So have them kind of sit their backs against the passenger windows. It would be harder with the crash tests, but it can be done. You can have that for free, Elon. I would definitely love something like that. All right, so they had Equinox on display. Too bad for the Bolt. They weren't even close to first. First at what? Gas Spark. Yeah, so the Chevy Spark is the other one that they did terribly on. That's the one I was thinking of, not just the EV1 and the Volt. The Spark was a limited market thing, so it was expected that they would treat it like that. This car was rushed to market, so GM could say they had the first sub 35 for sale, and not coincidentally, everyone had to be recalled to fix the slight issue of battery randomly catching on fire. Yeah, they wanted to be first, but they weren't first. You had the iMeep, as he says. And then the Leaf, yeah. But the Leaf was taking a little snooze then, so the Bolt had a chance. And then let's see, yeah, because gas is cheap in the U.S. It's true. All right, that's enough of these comments. Let's go on to the next one. That's nothing to do with cards. That's about Star Trek. This is tangential, but it's in our wheelhouse. Supreme Court will not hear appeals from the fossil fuel firms in climate change lawsuits. Cities and states want their cases heard at the state level, not in the federal courts. Supreme Court ruled on Monday that it declined to hear 5 appeals from the fossil fuel industry seeking to move climate change lawsuits it faces to the federal courts. The decision opens the door for Baltimore and other cities and states and counties to pursue their claims for damages from climate-related extreme weather events, flooding, and sea level rise in state courts. This is important right here because it shows that they can't wiggle their way out of stuff. They knew for decades. They knew before the desktop computer was a thing in an office how bad their product was, and they predicted within a couple percentage points of how bad it would get. Speaking at Exxon at that point, um, and it wasn't just Exxon. Exxon was just the one that got caught with the documents. Yeah, they screwed us. Let's screw them back. All right. So since localities began filing their climate lawsuit 6 years ago, they have, for the most part, seen state courts as the appropriate and more advantageous jurisdiction for seeking damages caused by climate change, using product liability, deceptive advertising, and nuisance statutes. Yeah. They contended the industry has known for decades that burning fossil fuels produces greenhouse gases that warm the planet, harming local jurisdictions, their infrastructure, and ultimately their citizens. Yeah, that's right. Oh, since we filed this case nearly 5 years ago, yeah, I've got an old case too. The climate crisis has worsened. The costs to Baltimore taxpayers are skyrocketing. Defendants have pocketed trillions of dollars in profits while trying to dodge accountability for their deception. Sorry. Sarah Gross, Chief Affirmative Litigation Division in Baltimore City Department of Law, said in a statement. And then you've got easily look at the countries like Maldives and others that have lost land, like whole islands, due to sea level rise. Look at Miami, Florida, New York City, and Charleston, South Carolina. How they're all handling their sea level rise concerns. Miami and Charleston are very close in their problem. Miami actually elected to spend the money to put in pumps and seawalls and deal with their situation. It's not going to save them, but it will stave it off. Charleston elected to do nothing because it costs money. So you get to go downtown in the middle of a bright sunny day, and then all of a sudden you see the street is flooding because the storm drains have had a high tide rush. So I'm going to put this in the chat for those of you. What? Facebook has messed me up with messaging again. Thanks, Facebook. So because Facebook is one of the places I'm broadcasting today, I can't send messages through the chat. So what I will do is I'll put them in the YouTube chat. And sorry for those of you on Twitch. And yeah, Twitch is the other one that will let me chat. There we go. It feels weird to feature my own posts. All right, so I guess I'll skip Facebook for the next couple of shows, and then we'll see if they get their act together. Because I like to chat with you guys, well, not just by my voice. I like to put little stuff in the messages, and I don't want to have to do it on just YouTube. All right, let's see. Moving on. Let's see. So let me switch back to, I guess, here. Yep. Then I can close this one. All right, so this one I brought up on What Drives Us, and it's pretty cool to me. The Lucid Air, they're smaller, large sedan, lighter, great fuel economy. Is not as affected by gravity, which is the name of the Lucid SUV, the Gravity, because it's bigger and less fuel efficient, etc. It's gonna be a 7-seat EV and SUV, and I think the front looks great. And then you've got the back, looks to me like a Porsche or a Lincoln or Mercedes. But again, that whole same old SUV problem, right? Right there, Eddie. So they're suspecting probably 350 miles. They said best in the Model S, but surely they meant the Model X because the Model S Plaid even gets more than 350 miles, let alone the base model, which gets 400 and change. So let's take a look at, say, Lucid. So there's the Air, and yeah, they're quite pricey. The Lucid Sapphire is $249,000. Well, the Pure, the base model, is 87,400. I still like this windshield. That's what I've got on my car, so quite partial to it. What I was looking for was if they announced the Gravity on their own website, so we can look at the other pictures. There we go. Man, if you gave me one, I'd take it. I'm not trying to pay for it. All right, so that's what we've got. Moving on. We got a bunch of different publications I found through Microsoft just because of their presentation. All right, so Tesla rival Rivian gets a breathing room, meaning that they raised additional capital, giving them more runway. Congrats to them. Joel asks, how do you think Lucid is getting their great range? Aero, bigger battery, motor tech, or what? All of the above. They've got great motor tech, awesome inverters, a larger battery, and their aero is a huge portion of it. So that all also explains why their prices are the way they are, not just because they're luxury, but um, in order to still turn a profit, they can't come too much lower for a while, at least until they get their volume up. And maybe they don't even want to because that leads them to a certain customer base. And we'll see if they just make a whole new like now they've made their SUV, they start selling it. Once it gets up to volume, maybe then they'll use some of that money to make I called it a Model 4 and and a Model Z, basically copying the same master plan as Tesla did, except for instead of wasting time on somebody else's roadster and electrifying it, they um, they just started with their large luxury sedan. And it doesn't hurt that they came from the Model S program as a company. All right, so what is this one? Oh, I'm on the wrong tab. That's why I was switching tabs before I started talking. All right, so Car and Driver is saying that EVs fall short of the EPA estimates by a much larger margin than gas cars in our real-world highway testing. Uh, to start with, though, you got to remember that EVs have significantly less stored energy than fossil cars, and you'll notice 10 or 20% worse driving habits much more significantly in your range than you will in a combustion car, especially when on highway trips you can get in and out in 15 minutes or so of refueling versus 20 to 40 minutes of refueling after you find a station. Not that it's as bad as it used to be, but it's they're still not on par for long road trips. Uh, at home, local driving, EV is still better. But if you're going for just shortest time, least hassle, the system is set up for ICEs on long road trips. Um, let's see. Say International just published a paper co-authored by Car and Driver. The paper compares EPA fuel economy and range estimates to the car and driver's real world highway tests. And if I'm thinking of the right publication, the car and driver real world highway tests are not done at the same methodology as the EPA. They're out there in regular traffic. They're at higher speeds. They're at normal temperatures. They're not at 55 miles an hour on a dyno in a lab or on a special test track. You can get a Chevy Camaro four-door down to 18 miles per gallon if you try hard enough. Yes. I'm sorry, a Metro four-door, especially an automatic. Yeah, the automatic is a little easier to confuse it with their mechanical computer in most automatics. Although the newer automatics are they still are hydraulic computers, but they're also electronically controlled for a lot of stuff too. Right, let's see. The authors propose solutions like more standardized testing procedures and the inclusion of both city and highway range figures on new vehicles. Maroni stickers. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. They propose you do what we already do. The testing method is exactly standardized within classes. So you've got your small cars, your mid-sized cars, your pickup trucks. They all test on their own. Well, they all test on the same test, but they get compared against each other. They don't compare the Bolt to the Tundra. They just don't. And well, they might if the Bolt counts as a truck instead of a small sedan because it is taller. So they don't compare a Model 3 to a Range Rover. There we go. And it's very standardized. We can pull up the testing procedure if we want. The inclusion of both city and highway figures is on the sticker. It's where's my Monrovia? I think it's still in storage. Let me see if I got a picture of either Tesla Monroney, either the Model S or the Model X. I did be clear what I was typing. I was typing for a reason. Not quite the window sticker I was looking for. It pulled up. It pulled up a mock-up I made of my first Civic Hybrid with the Midlands Hybrid Club rep. It was sponsored by Midlands Honda. All right, let's see. So Google doesn't understand what I mean when I tell it window sticker. If I search for something that's on the window sticker. That's not quite accurate. I typed in Model X performance. I got a bunch of Model S's. Model X prototype that I took there. Um, there we go. All right, so I typed in Tesla and document, and I got invoices and pictures of the screen and a repair order. The annoying part is I know I have them. Let me try Microsoft. Documents. It's close. It's an inspection sticker, not a. Uh, much better. Let's see. Forget what we want. Nope. Somebody else's if I don't find mine on this next search. That's not what I wanted. Images. There we go. Okay. This make it big. There we go. Big enough. I guess if I signed in, it would work better. Share this tab instead. All right, so this is a Model S signature, which their minorities haven't changed that much. The graphics have been tidied up a bit, but here we see the overall fuel economy, 89. That's standardized method of getting there. You know what? Let me do this. So we can see what's included, and then we go so the combined city and highway 89, 88 city, 90 highway, and 38 kilowatt hours per 100 miles, with a range of 265 miles. I don't know what they're complaining about there over at Car and Driver. It's all right there on the Monroney label. Standardized system procedures, check. Inclusion of both city and highway range figures on new vehicles, check. Excuse me. Hell. Let's see. Basically, we've taken a look at how vehicles perform relative to their values on the window sticker. So you know that they're there because how else are you comparing them, right? Difference in what the label says and what we actually see in our real world highway test. We see a big difference in that gap between gas powered vehicles and the performance of EVs. Yeah, when you're looking at percentage off from 25 miles per gallon and the percentage off from that old Model S at just 88 miles per gallon, but we're talking over 100 for most new EVs, you're going to notice, you're going to say, all right, hey, this one's 20 off, and this one's only 6 off. You had more to lose. Our driver's 75 mile per hour highway test. See right there. It's a stupid test. 75 miles an hour is extra legal in almost every state except for some of the western states and Texas. And on top of that, it's a full 20 miles an hour faster than the highway test is done at, which is 55. Your methodology doesn't make any sense. As I said earlier, when you have more to lose on an EV than you do on a combustion car. They suggest EVs fail to match expectations is how the range is calculated. While separate city and highway figures are computed behind closed doors, only combined numbers presented to customers. What? Do we need to go back to the sticker? Let's go back to the sticker. 88, 90. Is there a new window sticker or something? Let's see in 2023. 2014 BMW, 2015 Tahoe, 17, 13, 17. 2021 BMW X Drive. Dodge Dart. I don't care about the Dodge Dart. Oh wait, is the X the electric? No, the X is not the electric. All right, so let's go back. Maybe I just missed it. Let's do 2022. Yeah, this is what mine looks like. Stop coming. All right, fine. Let's do this one instead. The 2021 Model X. Zoomed in on the fuel economy section. City 109, highway 101, 32 kilowatt hours per 100 miles, 105 combined. It's significantly better than mine. Mine was 89 combined. I don't know what they're complaining about here. I'm curious the comments on this one. They're probably not going to be nice because of the way that the we'll see. We'll see. It depends on who was presented this article. There's a Porsche Taycan. Anyway, EPA cycle is variable, with the speed increasing and decreasing over the course of the test. While this is detrimental to vehicles that run on gas, they tend to be more efficient at steady RPMs. Yeah. The ability to regenerate energy under braking leads to higher range results. Yes, but also no, because EVs also do better at steady state than they do at up and down, up and down. They just lose less on the down. EPA's highway cycle is conducted at significantly lower speeds than theirs. Yes, 75 versus 55. A reduction factor to simulate the effect of higher speeds. Automakers can choose between running a 2-cycle test where data is multiplied by standard points. Right there, standardized. They were complaining about standardized. It's standardized. Multiplied by a standard 0.7 adjustment factor, or carrying out a 5-cycle test in an attempt to earn a smaller reduction factor, making the label figure higher. That means the range figures aren't perfectly comparable across different vehicles, but they're still done using a method that you can know is up to a standard. All right, that's enough of these people. Let's EVs aren't supposed to be compared to ICE fees. They're being pushed by whatever. US EPA numbers under okay, political. I told you it would be a certain kind of commenter on this thing. Didn't see this coming. EVs are much more affected by temps, hills, etc. Again, not really. It's just that with the larger number, the same percentage looks worse. Blame the EPA. They provide the test protocol the manufacturers test to. Exactly. And then more political stuff. Now, if they do that range test in sub-zero weather, not necessarily, because fossil cars do worse in. I want to go to the car driver side. I want the article. Fossil cars also do worse in cold weather. This state just enacted a first of its kind law against semi trucks and big rigs. Now other states are following suit. So they're talking about California. They have finally enacted their law that they had the bill on ICE trucks, and now they want them to be fuel cells and EVs. And because California gets to set their own emissions, and several other states are able to follow them, they're saying you should expect that this will follow shortly in some of the other California emission states. So by 2035, more than half of all heavy vehicles sold in the state must be electric. Headline is misleading because, of course. Yes, of course. Why not? Uh, Instead, the state's newly enacted bill will require heavy manufacturers to ensure that a certain percentage of their trucks are all electric. The rule requires 55% delivery vans and smaller trucks, 75% of buses and larger trucks, and 40% of tractor trailers and other big rigs. And we have the technology to do this. We've got the um, Tesla Semi, the Nikola Tre, the electric one. We've got the Freightliner and Volvo and all the Chinese stuff. So we've got the options are there now. So what they might need is just like Pepsi. They might need a little bit of. I say they to make them do it might just need a little bit of just little incentives like Pepsi got. But as the article that we didn't discuss on What Drives Us pointed out, that um, Pepsi is not exactly a small company. They could have afforded this on their own, um, but they're not stupid either. The free money is there from the government to do the right thing. So why not do the right thing, get a boost to your fleet, and have somebody else pay for it? Let's see. The law was initially adopted in 2020. However, because it includes stricter requirements than federal laws, California had to receive a waiver from the EPA to actually put it into practice. California received that in March. So now the law is active. And now that it is, and California's got their approval, now the states that are tied to California emissions, of the 13 of them may elect to say, all right, we want that provision to come into effect now as well. And I suspect that one or two of them will do it right away, and then the rest will fall in line over time. Elon Musk is willing to bet Tesla's profits on a driverless dream. All right, Bloomberg, you're a little slow on this. He's been doing this now since 2016. Um, where were you at? So Musk said on a conference call last week that Tesla has the wherewithal to sell cars at zero profit and then earn immense sums off the driverless software. We'll see. He thinks it's this year, and I think that whatever year it actually happens, add 4 years for politics and regulators. All right, so this one isn't exactly an EV thing, but it is a modern car thing. Uh, Business Insider, I know, is not the best source by any means. Uh, breathlessly says in their headline, thieves can steal a car in minutes by hacking through the headlights with devices sold online. Experts warn. All right, so then rather than continue to give more to Business Insider, let's go to the source. And this blog is talking about the way they're doing it is a technique called CAN injection. And a lot of these modern cars, especially the ones with LED headlights, um, they have the headlights directly on the CAN bus. The headlights, the cameras, the sensors. If you can get access to the pin, you can then, on a car with poor security, you can then command it to open the doors and start and run. And so let's see. So Ian Tabor says, no point in having a nice car these days. Came out early to find the front bumper and wheel arch trim pulled off, and even worse, the headlight wiring plug had been yanked out. It definitely wasn't an accident. Curbside, massive screwdriver mark, breaks in the clips, and expletive. And so he looked at this, and I guess the person ran out of time. And then later on, he finds out his car is stolen. Why do I even bother having a nice car? I know it's a first world problem, but whoever it is, I can just leave my car alone. No lights on the way to work this morning, and even more gashes in the paint, and the molding has no more clips anymore. Not happy. Oh, so this is over a couple of days, actually. Let's see, when was the second one here? I know what they were doing. The car is gone. My Toyota UK app shows it in motion. I only filled the tank last night. Expletive. Um, yeah. So what you do is you just tell the car to start up and drive off. Car was gone. It looks like the headlight was somehow stolen. Ian is a cybersecurity researcher in the automotive space and has previously been awarded bug bounties for finding vehicle vulnerabilities. I initially thought from reading this tweet that it might be a trophy hack, but turns out it's not. Ian's neighbor had their Toyota Land Cruiser stolen shortly after. For Ian, this is personal, and he wanted to know just how they stole his car. After all, it's got sophisticated car security systems, including an engine immobilizer. How did they drive the cars away? Because they thought it was a technician with a laptop. Sentry mode should send alerts to the mobile app. Exactly, and so that's another cool thing right there. With these connected cars, you've got Sentry mode and Gear Guard on the Tesla and the Rivian. They will record this person messing with the car and send it back to you. Although at the same time, the cameras are a little easier to pop off than than the headlights are. Uh, but also at the same time, I think that Rivian and Tesla probably have better data security practices than Toyota and Volkswagen. So let's see. Warning: hybrid system. Toyota RAV4 Black. Malfunction in the hybrid system has been detected. Contact your Toyota dealer in order to have your vehicle inspected immediately. Warning detected. Sonar system. Malfunction detected in the sonar system. Yeah, because the bumper was ripped off. Ian did some more sleuthing, and with the MIT telematics system, it's included in a lot of cars, Toyota cars. Cars sending out the diagnostic trouble codes, and that's what he got. Uh, Turns out that around the theft of the car, Ian's car dropped a lot of DTCs because it's being forced to run in a way that's not normal. The codes indicate the detected faults and freeze frames. In the front of the RAV4 is an ECU that controls the lights, the high and low beam headlights, turn the indicators, and in most cars there is such an ECU because the days of being a simple switch to turn on the lights are long gone. Yes. Lights are smart. They include things like motors to level the headlights, so when the car is loaded with heavy luggage, the lights are tuned to compensate. Steering headlights to illuminate the corners and automatically detect if the lights have failed, to turn on pumps to spray water, lights, etc. And even if your car doesn't have any like computer screens and stuff, like if it looks like a basic car, it's not. They're all computer controlled these days. And I say that if it's a new car that looks low tech, yeah. Obviously, if you get yourself a 67, whatever, it's not gonna have very many computers, if any, on it. Let's see. And I say if any because it could have been retrofitted with a new engine or something. The board also shows LEDs in a grid, which are lit up not to dazzle oncoming drivers. So they got the matrix headlights because the European RAV4. ATC showed that communication with the lighting ECU was lost. Yeah, because the guy yanked it out, put his computer in. It isn't surprising because the thieves had ripped the cables out of it. But the TTCs also showed lots of other systems that failed. The control of the front cameras, the hybrid engine control system, and so on. The next clue is the ECUs probably hadn't failed, but rather communications to them had been lost. Diagnostics have flagged this as a fault. The common factor: CAN bus. Ian went around the dark web on how to steal cars, hunted around, found YouTube videos on car thefts, tracked down a website selling a what do they call it? An emergency start device. A fiction that these are products for owners who've lost their keys or somehow reputable locksmiths. I can say reputable locksmith doing it, but at the same time, except for items like the Rivian and the Tesla, they still have very traditional car keyholes that can be picked in minutes or seconds for a skilled locksmith. If they don't even have just like a leashy tool that would allow them to decode the lock. So yeah, I don't see a locksmith buying one of these. Prices are eye-watering, up to 5,000 euros for an ordinary owner. For gang car thieves, this is an investment. Exactly. The product's targeting many models, including Jeep, Maserati, Honda, Renault, Jaguar, Fiat, Jaguar, Peugeot, Nissan, Ford, BMW, Volkswagen, Chrysler, Cadillac, CMC, and Toyota. For Toyota, the emergency start system is a bit of electronics hidden inside a JBL Bluetooth speaker case. Yeah, that totally sounds like something that's above board if you have to disguise it as something else. This gives the thieves plausible deniability if stopped by the police. They aren't at first sight carrying obvious car theft tools. What looks like an innocent music device. The website lists models of cars supported by the theft device: Lexus, Toyota. Uh, uh, Ian calls me a CAN guru. Worked with Volvo on their first CAN-based platform. So yeah, basically they're injecting the commands into the various control systems, and it starts right up. Yeah, if it looks like this, then it's not. Nah, come on now. You're up to no good. Inside still, mostly still is. It's missing the speaker. Oh wow, clever. So this is why when Tesla poached the Apple security expert, she made them stop until everything had signed code, as far as updates and further additions. Or unsigned code just flying around the car. All right, let's see what else. Hot Cars came through and said that 10 brutal truths about electric pickups that buyers aren't prepared to hear. All right, let's go. The initial purchase cost. That's one that we were just talking with Bennett about. Is that yeah, it probably won't cost $40,000 like Elon told us. But is anybody surprised? I'm not surprised because Elon also told us that would be expected to change. All right, public perception. A concern that may not cross a buyer's mind is how other pickup drivers will see them. The rolling coal culture is huge in certain parts of North America and Canada, and rocking a parking lot in silence, a clean electric pickup truck may not make the best impression among peers. That's all right. I'm not trying to impress them. What I don't want is for them to vandalize my truck. But with a stainless steel truck, and hopefully they don't start shooting at it. Let's see. It's gonna be exactly the same as when the first umbrella was used. The one who used one was heckled on the street for years until it became socially acceptable to keep yourself dry in the rain. Coming to terms with electric vehicles, especially pickups, is going to take a long, long time. And right now, it's certainly a sore topic for hardcore pickup lovers. Eh, I think if you get a capable pickup, but you look at the operating cost reductions and the actual capabilities, like how much they can tow and haul, and I don't know that this will be as dire as Hot Cars is predicting. Andrew says, luckily that YouTube exists. The Garden is my favorite team. Lost in 3 different sports today: football, floorball, soccer, and ice hockey. Oh, I'm sorry they lost. Let's see. Public perception we talked about. Charging costs. Yeah, this one for the street charging is going to be variable, just like gas. We've already seen Tesla raise their prices. We've seen other companies kind of go up and down, but it's still going to be cheaper than gas for the most part, um, unless somebody's trying to make a huge profit off of you. At the time of this writing, it cost the average American citizen 15.47 cents per kilowatt hour to charge an electric car, meaning topping a F-150 Lightning will set you back $20 for a full charge. $20 for a full charge. Ooh, how much does it cost you to fill up a gas F-150? Like $100? Come on now. And if you get solar, my electric bill last month was $3. And that's because my panels were super dirty. We got them pressure washed, and already the output is up. I can't see the screen from here. Let's do this. We're currently making 3.77 kilowatts on a nice rainy day. Not bad. And I haven't gone anywhere, so it's all getting banked. Range anxiety. I don't think that's a personal problem right there. Like if you're one of the people who fills up at half a tank, then yeah, you're gonna have a problem with an electric truck for a while. Exactly, Bennett. Exactly. Longevity. I don't think you're gonna have a longevity problem unless your company goes out of business. As you know, the pickup truck is meant to be hard-wearing brute of a machine. Um, I think they're wrong on that. Weight problems. Yes, yes, the EV will be heavier, but will it be much heavier? Because look at a Model 3 versus a BMW i3, M3, the gas BMW 3 Series, and we're talking like 200 pounds. So it doesn't have to be heavier. It just kind of is with the legacies because when you buy components for everything, it's a lot easier just to buy a battery module and just slap it in there. And if you're just buying it, it's not likely to be optimized for weight. Look at the Hummer EV with its what we say, 3,000 pound battery pack, 6,000 pound battery pack, something ridiculous. Temperature worries. So that's just the same as that guy who was whining about if the fuel test had been done in the cold. Uh, yes, you'll be able to see it more because you have less energy to start with, but most of these newer trucks are coming with heat pumps, so they'll be able to better manage it. And if they do something similar to the octave valve, they'll manage it very well. And it doesn't have to be, not any more than it is in a fossil car. Charging times. To charge an F-150 Lightning at home, you're looking at around 8 hours to get from 5 to 80%. I don't think so, because the F-150 can charge at 80 amps, and it's got not that much more than a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. And my Model X only charges at 72 amps only, which is still more than all the new cars that Tesla makes. Charges at 72 amps, and I can get from the red to the charge limit in 4 hours flat. So maybe 5 or 6 hours for an F-150 at 80 amps with a full charge. But again, you're not using the full battery pack every day. You're doing your errands and your runs, and you're just topping off what was left. So this doesn't matter either. Now, if it had a limited DC fast charging rate and you were using it on a long trip, like the Bolt with the 50 kilowatts, yeah, that would be something to consider. But nah. Now, if you're charging from level 1 and a Hummer EV with a 212 kilowatt hour battery pack, that's gonna be a while. Considering it takes a matter of minutes to fill up a diesel. No, no, it doesn't actually. You're looking at 10 minutes time at the station, 7 to 10 minutes. Then you're looking at the time to get to and from the station and the time out of your day. Like you have to make a special trip. I mean, I understand that some people have one on their route, but not everybody has one on their route. So it's a special trip, or at least a detour on an existing trip. Limited choices for now. I wouldn't say they're that limited, really. We've got Ram, Chevrolet, GMC, which would be the Hummer, and I'm not counting the Silverado because that's the same truck. Um, Tesla, Rivian, Ford, that's 6. And like I said, if you count the twins, that's even more. Workhorse, you've got almost 10 10 trucks to choose from. And how many gas trucks do you have to choose from? Ford, GM, Nissan, Toyota, Ram. About the same if you're looking on the light duty side. Charging infrastructure. Yeah, if it's a non-Tesla, this is something to be concerned with. But um, if we talk to any of my Ford-loving friends or any of my just car enthusiast friends that not just Tesla, they've done cross-country trips without superchargers. So more poo poo. Moving on. All right, recall of the week is not really EVs. Ram, Jeep, Chevrolet, and Nissan have recalled 238,000 cars. Check your recalls here. All right, so multiple recalls this week, including possible engine stalls, brakes being damaged, tears in tires, and trucks needing to be parked outside due to potential fire risks. That sounds familiar, except that we're not talking about battery trucks here. Let's see. 2021 Ram 1500 engine could stall. Jeep Ram fuel pump failure could stall engine. Silverado trucks brake fluid leak can increase the risk of fire. Please park outdoors. Exactly. It's like a footnote on a website. Unless you are properly registered, you'll get a letter in the mail or maybe an email. But like you said, it's not on the nightly news. So 40,428 Chevrolet trucks with brake pressure sensor assembly fluid that may leak. Could cause an electrical short. Ooh, and brake fluid is oil, so it's flammable. Um, yeah. Nissan and Infiniti driver seat welding concerns. That's not good. 2023 Nissan Titan and Frontier may have tears in the tires. How does that get out of the factory? Oh, the inner bead. Did you have like a whole crew that didn't know how to set a tire? Because you should notice it when you're putting them on that these are different than the other ones. 2023 Nissan Titan 529, 2023 Nissan Frontier 30,720. My favorite was the brand new Bronco, not necessarily being in park when it says it is. Yeah, that's critical. That's critical because that will kill people. Mazda brakes could be damaged. BMW seatbelt issues, and that's just a small sampling. I've heard the Titan is something to steer clear of in general. When I was selling cars, I didn't really care for it personally. It just was big. Didn't seem like particularly good at anything. It was just big. It looked like a nice truck on the outside, though. Let's see. Moving on. We've got the Model Y is now priced below the US average for a new car. The myth that EVs are very expensive is slowly but surely going away. It's never been true. Like we said, the Nissan Leaf has always been available as a budget-ish car. There was a time where the average selling price of cars was below $35,000, but it's been many years where that's not been the case. And there's always been an EV under $35,000 at some level. So it's just a matter of public perception. And now the Model Y is pushed down there on its own. And this one is seen as a premium car. Like I was talking with a friend, and we were talking about how these cars are constantly seen as being like something of the rich, and he and I are not rich, and it's just a matter of choosing to get the car that had the lower operating costs and had these cool features. Exactly, Bennett. I love that their stock image is the priciest Model Y minus the red paint. The Model Y performance right here with the wheel upgrade. uh, but then here you can get the regular one. And then in Canada, they've got that special one that makes them all qualify. So if you wanted to fight the gauntlet to get the cheapest Model Y in North America, they'll help you out. This being said, Tesla isn't exactly making the cheapest EV out there. The Chevrolet Bolt starting at 26.5 for now. And other models like the Nissan Leaf and Hyundai Kona Electric are being priced under 40. However, few, if any, of the aforementioned EVs have the same clout in the world of EV enthusiasts as Tesla's offerings. Plus, the Nissan Leaf and Hyundai Kona Electric don't qualify for the tax credit, while the cheapest Model Y, well, all the Model Ys do. All of them, assuming that you don't pick the wrong paint color or something. Moreover, some of the series of price cuts employed by Tesla in North America and other markets worldwide have made some of its competitors question whether or not a full-blown EV price war is beneficial for anyone. Ford CEO Jim Farley said that price battles are breaking out everywhere, while French carmaker Renault said last week that Tesla's price cuts represent a challenge and that it's examining its price strategy in response. Uh, and then you have some competitors that like Ford and Renault and everybody who are actually meeting the challenge, and others like BYD that are just opting out. Yeah, we're no, we're not going to do that. Um, a couple of the other Chinese ones said no, but most of them said, yeah, let's do it. Bolt. They'll need new material next year. Exactly. Later this year. I'm curious on the comments on this one. Don't forget, it's also being done at industry-leading profits to boot. Yes, that's true. There's only the entry-level Model Y. Entry levels are those that make the lowest margin. This is true, but they're still making profit on the lowest margin car. All right, that's enough of those comments. All right, this one's coming from Drive Tesla Canada. Canada will not get the GMC Hummer EV3X. So sorry, guys. Canadian buys Hyundai Ioniq 5 and finds out it has no fast charging. That's interesting. All right, so Gravity is now testing on public roads. Oh. Yeah, this one we talked about on the Tesla Live show that Tesla might be preparing to export Model Ys from Giga Shanghai to Canada because China already builds the LFP, lithium iron phosphate, rear-wheel drive Model Y in there. And so rather than either disrupting the line at Fremont or Austin or training the associates on that particular trim level, just program it to speak English and ship it from China to Canada and French, um, which they can already do because they're all software controlled. So done, and then that would allow them for those handful of units to qualify for the incentive in all of Canada. The Canadian market will have to wait another model year to see the Hummer 3X trim level. Hummer 3X is the SUV, the 3X in Edition 1. The pickup will likely get the 3X trim, but GM has not confirmed this. Excuse me, 3X is just below Edition 1 and provides more off-road focus for buyers. The 3X has extreme off-road package, which includes the following specs. Spare 18-inch by 9-inch black aluminum with machined accent wheels. 18-inch black aluminum wheels with machined accents. Light truck 305 by 70 R18 Goodyear Wrangler Territory MT tires. Full underbody skid plates. Driver selectable electronically locking front differential and rear differential. Forward and rearward underbody cameras. I thought that was standard. Black rear D-ring recovery hook and rocker protectors with assist steps. I mean, yeah, if you're a Hummer bro, that actually sounds like it'd be a good thing, and I'd be disappointed not to be able to get it. But if you're already up there, why not just get the Edition 1? I agree. I totally agree. I think it was when 20s and 22s became standard. Not standard, but like, the ones to get for the road tires. Um, so I thought the cameras were standard. The underbody shielding is nice. And then what comes to mind is the anecdote about the guy who took the Hummer off-roading and broke it. I watched that video, and he wasn't really just off-roading it. He was hooning it. A 9,000-pound automobile doesn't belong in the air, and he was getting air and jumping with it. And uh, GM and the other factory, especially the legacies, when you're talking about off-roading with them, they're thinking low speed rock crawling, road courses. They're not thinking. Uh, well, some of them aren't thinking Baja and that sort of like let's jump the truck. The Raptor is built with that in mind, but it's not just an off-roader. It's more of a sporty like it's different. Let's see if they got any comments on this thing. No comments. All right, so let's see what else. I got that. Canadian buys an Ioniq 5, finds out it has no fast charging. What's up with that? Yes, you could order an Ioniq 5, but no capability for CSS. CCS. Yeah, your car can't edit websites. um, no capability for CCS fast charging. One Canadian owner learned there was an ultra base model of the Ioniq 5 without DC fast charging. I would be so disappointed. The Drive found the unlucky owner on the Ioniq 5 forum. On the Ioniq forum, um, many other forums thought they were lying or that the CSS was not installed. Turns out on the forum poster bought the little advertised, hardly known Ioniq 5 Essential trim. So this sounds to me like the Model 3 180-mile range available in Canada to get the ultimate of incentives. It's the lowest price, and they don't intend anybody to buy it. You can't upgrade the range later. Cannot. But because this vehicle exists, it allowed all the other Model 3s to qualify for the incentives. So it sounds like Hyundai did the same thing, because who would buy a Ioniq that can't DC fast charge? Except for this guy who got suckered into it. The essential trim was priced at $44,499, which is $1 below the cutoff limit of the IZEV credit. That's exactly what it is. And we have stories like this of people who bought the Model 3 the same way for the IZEV credit, and they were thoroughly disappointed that all that was not included on the car. And these Chinese Model Ys that might be coming, they do this as well, but because the SUVs have a little bit more wiggle room, you're not getting a nerfed up car. You're getting a car with an iron phosphate pack and rear wheel drive only. And those are your real discounts to the car. So that the Model Y performance and the long range all wheel drive would count. In essence, it was a compliance car that lacked a heat pump, battery heater, the ability to fast charge. It didn't have a battery heater in Canada. Ooh, 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 ooh. According to the Drive, Hyundai sold 30 units in 2022 and subsequently discontinued the trim in Canada. Per Hyundai spokesperson, the company adjusted its packaging strategy for 2023 to better meet the demand of Canadian customers. Yeah, I mean, even if you have a loss leader car like that, you probably want it to sell and not get stuck on a dealer lot. Making matters even worse, the owner paid a premium for the car. Ooh, he got sold. Shelly got $54,000 for the vehicle after the government rebate of $10,000. Presumably thanks to dealer applied market adjustments. The total cost of the vehicle would have been over the MSRP by $17,000 or more. Good news at the end of all this, the owner appears to be in talks with the dealership to swap the vehicle for one with fast charging. However, it's unclear if they'll pay additional costs, so the dealer will make the swap at cost. There's going to be money involved. There's got to be money involved. That salesman is going to be mad they lost their commission for scamming the customer. This would be one I want to bring up on the other show. Save this. And it says, those Model Ys will be pretty sweet, to be honest. Still a Model Y, lithium iron phosphate pack would be a great one. Yeah, I mean, even Canada, the lithium iron phosphate is a little more cold tolerant. It's not that it gets that hot, but it's a little more heat tolerant. It doesn't mind that you charge it to 100%. In fact, Tesla wants you to charge it to 100%, but that's a little bit of laziness on their part. The LFP packs still are just like the others, where they prefer to be at like 80 or 90% instead of 100, but it doesn't hurt them as badly to leave them at 100, and so that's why Tesla just leave it there, because once it reaches 100, then Tesla can better calculate where the bottom is. If you never get to 100, eventually it will push itself to 100 because it makes it so they can detect where the top is, so they know where the bottom is of the pack. What am I saying? The lithium iron phosphates, their curve between full and dead is very flat, and so they need a little more help figuring out that information. In fact, I've got a home battery here that I had left it at 80%, and it never been charged 100%. And I just turned off on me the other day, and it was like, yeah, 4%. I'm dead. Then I charged it up to 100%, and it's been better. It's still not good. I'm waiting on customer support to do some diagnosis on my system, and I've got 6 other ones that they sometimes lose top and bottom as well, but they've been a lot more reliable. Those are the EcoFlows that have been reliable for me. All right, so we've talked about the Canadian CCS free car. Tesla filing hints at expansion of the Fremont factory may be underway. Oh yeah? Document suggests that the automaker will bring new tools on the factory's first floor, where vehicle assembly happens. They're moving industrial vehicles and chargers to another location. Industrial vehicles. They don't build semi trucks at Fremont, unless they mean industrial vehicles used in the process. I think they do build chargers at Fremont, as well as Buffalo, and probably Nevada. Creating more space on the second floor where battery manufacturing occurs. Yeah, they've been making batteries in Fremont second floor for a while. Last year it was revealed that Tesla was manufacturing Cybertruck battery packs on the factory's second floor. Yeah. With Cybertruck moving closer to production, Tesla may need additional room to manufacture packs for shipment to Texas, where the electric pickup will be produced. Fremont factory was Tesla's initial production facility, but as the company has expanded its manufacturing capabilities, it has outgrown the space. To accommodate growth, Tesla has used sprung structures or tents, which have now become permanent. However, Musk did state before that the company was considering expanding the plant. Well, there you go. Get so much wrong, it's not funny. Please get someone to fact check yourselves. Oh boy. What's up, Lee? How are you doing today? We're talking all kinds of stuff today. And then I've got more home improvement tasks to do. I've got to swap out some bathroom fans. That was fun. Some lights. I replaced some lights / cameras. Oh, that was an experience because apparently one of my fixtures isn't properly grounded. It tripped the GFI in the kitchen, even though it was outside the house. But it worked. It saved my life. All right, next up, we've got Honda and Kia have increased their EV production goals. What do you know? I'm surprised it didn't say Hyundai and Kia. It says Honda and Kia. Oh no, it was fun. It's the camera's lenses were looking terrible. Like they were flaking. They wouldn't reconnect back to the network. Unless you mean the fact that it's not grounded safe enough. And that one I'm guessing because I didn't bring out my voltmeter. I should have. But I didn't get any sparking or anything. I'm wondering if it was just too sensitive. I should probably get my voltmeter before I do the next set of repairs. I've got one of them here, so 2 or 3 of them here. I'll be fine. I just got to make sure they've got batteries in them. All right, so Honda and Kia. Let's see. So Kia, which is part of the Hyundai group, they're going for 1.6 million vehicles and additional $18 billion to realize these targets. Good on you. Kia wants to make up 40% of its sales volume by 2030, so 5 years ahead of the cutoff, the first cutoffs, except for Norway. Norway right there at 2030. Or did they move it to 2025? They moved it. I just don't remember if they moved it 5 years or 10 years. They estimate EVs will make up 9% of their total sales volume by the end of this year. I believe it. Honda has revealed that they plan to increase EV production as well. Because right now you've got You've got the Honda EV, E Plus, the little cute one in Europe. And then you got their Blazer coming out later. They plan to produce more than 2 million units by 2030. To make this happen, Honda's partnering with GM to produce 2 models for North American, while in China and Japan, the company's launching several smaller models where they have to do their joint venture thing. As Honda tries to play catch up, the company is on its way to developing its own E&E architecture with solid-state batteries. Solid-state batteries. Hasn't Toyota been beating that drum for over 20 years about the solid-state batteries? Just make the car with what today has to offer, and then when the new stuff comes out, just swap them in. Don't hold out hope. Hold your breath for some new tech. And semi-solid is a thing now, but solid-state isn't really at volume yet for us to be waiting around. Anyway, the question for many is that if Kia and Honda can transition their ICE engine successes in North America and Europe to EVs, yeah, they have success, but I'd say that they are slipping, even on the fossil front. A little late to the game, especially Honda, but if done right, they can deliver a vehicle that can take on an EV. Honda may be slow, but it sure does beat Mazda. Mazda CX 100-mile range. By that point, Honda will be decades behind Tesla in data harvesting and engineering know-how. It's already over before it started for them. They'll have some EVs, but I doubt they'll be able to replace their ICE numbers. They're gonna have a tough decade if they make it. I don't see any reason why they should fail, but they're not moving quick enough. We'll see what happens. Talked about Toyota owners. I think this is the one we were just talking about in Canada. Model 3 now qualifies for a full $7,500 incentive thanks to a new loophole in the tax incentives. Really? Wait a minute. The Model 3 accepts the standard range, still qualified after the changes. What are they talking about here? Bloomberg. New loophole. Only 6 vehicles qualify for the full $7,500 incentive in the U.S. Some, all but one trim of the Tesla Model 3, assuming that you don't get the wrong options, and the Model Y, all of them. Again, assuming you don't get the wrong options. All the Bolts, the F-150 Lightning, some of them, the Cadillac Lyriq, again, as long as you watch your options. Volkswagen ID4, same thing, because that one is no longer being imported, it's being made in Tennessee. And while a larger number of vehicles that qualify for at least half the EV incentive is often not enough for many buyers. All right, so let's see this loophole Bloomberg claims they found. Oh, leasing. That's not new. We've been talking about leasing since the beginning. Us and even Joe Manchin, of all people. I know I've mentioned it at least 6 times on this show right here. All right, so since nothing is new, let's go to the comments and zip on through. What a disaster. The IRA could potentially lock some people into perpetual car payments, and now people will get penalized if they have good credit, if they acquire a mortgage. What a disaster. Okay, whatever. Lease deals cost more, so there's no real benefit to the consumer. It depends on if you got a lease that works for you and if the lessor passes the 7,500 credit on to you. Some of them don't. Like famously, Tesla did not pass on the old tax credit, not the one that just ran out, but the when I bought my car tax credit, the original 7,500. If you leased, they didn't very often pass it on to the customer. They did a couple of times, but usually they just kept it for themselves. Yeah, exactly, Matthew. That's been known for a while. I don't know where the rest of your comment went. It's like cut off. I was going to give you an update, but I can't. All right, let's see what Farley says about Tesla design. In danger of commodification because they don't change their car looks every 3 years. He thinks he found a strategic weakness. Let's see. They soon be forced to grapple with the issue of product freshness. What freshness? The Model S essentially looks like it did back in 2012, uh, 11 years ago, and it's still selling like hotcakes. I mean, it's had a little bit here and there. They got rid of the nose cone and they changed the headlights and fog lights a little bit, but it, to anybody who's not in the cars and not an enthusiast, it's the same car as it was 11 years ago. I think what he's going to learn is product freshness means a lot. Yeah, eventually, like when you. The other thing though is that the whole product freshness thing is something that the legacy guys invented a long time ago. They would change significant portions of the car every single year so that it would look like you had an old one, so that people would have to go back to the dealer and trade in. But back then, it was still a little easier to get cars than it is today. Not that they were cheap, but the percentage of your income that they took up was much lower. Um, yeah, so I don't think he's really on anything here. He's for him, yes, because they have a model. But for Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid, I don't think this is as much of a concern for a while, especially if the design is solid and good to start with. So I think Tesla and Lucid will be uh, less susceptible to this than Rivian will be. But Rivian's truck looks like everybody else's truck, but with the raccoon eyes from the stadium lighting. So that one I think will need to be updated before the other models. The R1S, I think that can get by with a massage because when you look at the Suburbans look the same since the 90s, just bigger and a little more refined, a little this, a little that, but not anything drastic. Farther related to this lesson, the Ford similar experience at the dawn of the automotive industry as we know it. Uh, After years on the market, the early 1900s, Ford was often criticized at the time for not updating its Model A, while its new competitor Chevrolet was already working to introduce newer iterations of competing vehicles. That's all marketing. It's all marketing, just to make you have the FOMO, the fear of missing out. And that's why we're still stuck with this 3-year recycle garbage. Not everybody plays the game. Like Nissan is on a 7 or 8 year cycle. Tesla is whenever they're going to need to do it. Um, Honda is a year longer than most. They're on the 4-year cycle for most of their cars. So you don't have to do it if you're either selling all the ones you make or your marketing is on point. Look at Rolls Royce and Maserati. Well, not Maserati. Rolls Royce and Bentley. They don't do as many tweaks and updates as the rest of the market. Ferrari, McLaren. So the idea that you need to update your car every 3 years is it's a Ford thing basically. Ford and Chevrolet. But this is the other part I like about it. Even though Farley's always talking about other people's stuff, he comes back and says, "All right, this is what we need to do better at Ford." So he recognized the challenges of Ford had, most notably the massive production ramp the company is undergoing, planning to hit an annual production of 600,000 EVs by the end of the year. So one Tesla plant. Ford will not only gain a massive head start compared to traditional rivals, but the Blue Oval will also be one step closer to EV profitability. Commodity is the actual goal of Tesla. This is true. In many of these cases, product freshness is a way for designers, whether they be automotive, software, store layout, etc., to make a living. Think how many times we've seen design changes that simply don't add any value to a product and frequently reduce value. Farley and other CEOs need to rethink the entire concept. They save a whole lot of money on payroll and not constantly redesigning to redesign. Yes, such horror. Like when Kleenex was so market dominant, people use the term Kleenex to refer to any tissue. Such a horrible position to be in, dominating the entire market. Why does this to the last comment? Am I not zoomed in correctly? Anyway, I think I'm not zoomed in correctly. Rivian spends $10 million in remanufacturing facility in Kentucky. So is that in refurbishing factory or is this factory a refurbished factory that refurbishes theirs? $10 million in the plant to upgrade the current facility. Okay, so they were retrofitting an existing facility. This is same thing that Tesla did with Fremont, and that they no longer do because of the way they work. They don't really fit into other people's buildings anymore, other than changing dealerships and clothes centers and stuff into stores and galleries. So good on them and good on Kentucky. Bring some jobs. Right. Tesla makes automatic emergency braking even safer in an update. I like this. Tesla has made its AEB even safer, adding the ability to operate in reverse, oh, that's cool, and increasing operational top speed. So this is one of the always-on safety features. So even if you bought one of the few cars that has zero autopilot stuff, as hardware, you have all these safety features. So switch to cellular. Maybe that'll do the trick. It says we're good. It doesn't look good. Right, this again. So YouTube says we're not connected, but everything else says we're back. I don't have a clue what happened there. Yeah, decent connection speed. Okay, Andrew sees me on YouTube. Welcome back. Thank you. All right, so let's go back to what we were discussing. All right, so YouTube doesn't see me, and that It's weird, but at least it's working. That's all that really matters. All right, so automatic emergency braking. They've updated it with software, and I wonder if this thing has me on the wrong control center. That's live. Here. It says it's still live, but it doesn't show me a picture. Either way. So, oh, there it goes. Perfect. I don't know what happened. It's like the router just choked. And that's not something it should do because it's got multiple connections to the internet. But we are under like a tornado warning and all that stuff. So let's see. So they increased the top speed range from 3 miles per hour to 124 miles per hour. All right. It was previously 3 to 90 miles per hour. And it was noted that AEB was operational to help prevent frontal collisions, but has since been updated in wording in the owner's manual to reduce the impact of front and reverse collisions with limited functionality while in reverse. And we saw at AI Day some of the stuff that it could do in reverse, like preventing people from getting impacted by a car. Also updates to when AEB will not activate. So sharply applying the brakes in some situations will actually make things more dangerous. So AEB will not activate when the steering wheel is turned sharply. Pressing or releasing the brake pedal while AEB is already pressing the brakes. Accelerating at a quick rate while AEB is attempting to apply the brakes. So this one right here is like where the whole, we talked about it on a previous show where people were complaining, oh, what if I need to run somebody over for whatever reason, blah, blah, blah. Just mash the pedal all the way down. It'll do it. And also, don't run people over. You're gonna regret it. You're gonna regret it. Let's see. The object, pedestrian, or vehicle that is spotted is no longer detected. So if it saw something like phantom braking or somebody cutting across your path and they finish cutting across your path, then it will stop automatic braking. Tesla continues to add new features in an attempt to increase the safety of its vehicles, and the revisions to AEB will benefit owners and drivers, but also those surrounding the vehicle. Oh, but I don't want to be a beta test, blah, blah, blah. The driver is ultimately responsible. You're not part of some grand experiment. Get over yourselves. You don't have any choice about teen drivers learning to drive or drunk drivers or anything like that. So, see, drops the price of Model Y's more spacious seating option. What is this that we're talking about? So, saying they're probably trying to say they dropped the price of the 7-seat, but that is awkwardly worded. Yep, because 7-seat is not spacious on Model Y. I don't care how you look at it. I mean, it'll work for a lot more people than you'd expect by looking at it, but to call it spacious is journalistic stretch. The price dropped by 1,000 from 4,000 to 3,000, so it now costs the same as the 7-seat on the Model X, which is 3,000. 7-seat option gives a model, but you don't get the air conditioner with it. Gives a Model Y room for 2 additional passengers. It includes things like USB-C charging for those in the back. Seats are also foldable, so the cargo room is not affected by these 2 extra seats. It's not exactly true either, though, because when they are folded, you lose the compartment that is there on the 5-seat. That would be the volume of the rear seat. Okay, cool. So $1,000 cheaper for a Model Y 7-seat without all the superfluous language. Glass Lewis asked Tesla shareholders to vote against JB Straubel's board nomination. Why? He was there from the beginning. He's a co-founder. Glass Lewis, a proxy advisory firm, recommended Tesla owners to vote against the nomination of co-founder CTO Straubel to the company's board of directors. Straubel's potential spot as a member of Tesla's board will be decided at the Cyber Roundup, company's annual shareholder meeting. The proxy advisory firm noted that it has concerns about Straubel's independence, given his previous role as co-founder and chief CTO of Tesla. Straubel stepped down from his role at Tesla in 2019 to start Redwood Materials, a battery recycling and materials company. So you have concerns about his independence, meaning You think he's going to be funneling old batteries to his company, or you think he's going to be a pushover for Musk? Let's go on. Um, the unwinding of conflicting relationships between former management and board members is more likely to be complete and final after 5 years. Oh, he's saying that whatever was already there is going to come back if we do this. Uh, we don't consider him to be independent at this time, says Lewis. They noted that 3 of the 8 members of board of directors are already either affiliated with the company or insiders to a degree. Why is it a bad thing for a director to be part of the company? Would that not give them more incentive to have the company's interest in mind while doing their job? They recommended against voting for the re-election of Musk and Robin Denham. Really? They noted there are no substantial issues for shareholder concern about the 2 executives, which is interesting considering Musk's nature, which become more prominent online. They just say, don't vote for Robin and Musk. No reason, just don't do it. All right. They're not the only firm that's against Strobel's election as a member of Tesla's board of directors. Early this month, SOC investment firm with over 250 billion in asset also urged Tesla shareholders to vote against the co-founder's election. The group questioned whether Strobel could effectively counterbalance Musk's controversial behavior. I mean, he already did it for a decade. I mean, you could very clearly see some of the influence he had on moderating some of Musk's tendencies. I don't know if it'll be the same as on a director seat, but when they were working together, he he told some of the edges. They also criticized the lack of board independence, which resulted in inadequate oversight of Musk. Okay, but at the same time, are you saying that it would be more profitable if he didn't have SpaceX? I can see you saying it would be more profitable without Twitter, but SpaceX and Boring didn't really bring anything down. Choosing one of the 2 founders to be on the board, a guy who's an engineer and expert in the type of things that Tesla does. Wall Street is such a joke. They hate engineers running companies and only want vapid MBAs controlling companies. MBAs run them the way Wall Street wants, which is always bad for the company. MBAs are only good for Wall Street gamblers. I would actually agree with you, but not. You're speaking in absolutes there. JB joined the board of QuantumScape in return for a hefty compensation package after leaving Tesla, which in my opinion showed conflict of interest and lack of judgment. He's no longer listed as a board member there, but my concern would be whether he is overly reliant on a compensation package from Tesla to be an independent director. I don't understand. Well, that's some stock stuff if you guys are into that. Let's close the wrong window. Musk is taking a page from Henry Ford's book with the price cuts, according to Farley. So this is another part of that Farley interview that we saw on the other page. Musk's strategy of lowering vehicle prices to maintain volume over profit margins is reminiscent of Ford's approach. And Musk said this himself. He said they could go to zero and still make money on the car. So I don't know that we're going to learn anything further from that article. The virtual power plant program in California hits a new capacity milestone. We talked about how they got paid. Some of them got like $500-$600 checks last year. Either way, recently. And now the weather's becoming more erratic. The program has increased and now has an energy capacity milestone of over 100 megawatt hours. Not bad. The VPP program is monitored by Lastbulb. Yeah, we've looked at them a couple times. It provides monthly updates on the program's growth in California, and the most recent report published today, on the day of the publishing, found that the program now contains 6,691 homes and just over 7,400 power walls, adding up to an energy capacity of over 100 megawatt hours. So over a megapack. Last year alone, the program contributed 577 megawatt hours to the grid. Not bad. This one is Business Insider again, so let's see what they get right and what they get wrong. Teslas are cheaper than ever and is creating a headache for the entire auto industry. You can now get a Model Y for cheaper than the average car. Tesla's making big moves in the mass market this year, and price reductions could show up in Q1 margins at earnings release on Wednesday. And they did. And it seemed fine to me, but Wall Street started freaking out. Oh my goodness, they're only making 26% instead of 30% per car now. Is it a profit? Are they outselling everyone? And STFU and sit down in the corner. Price war is spilling out all over the electric vehicle market as the company continues to slash prices. And Musk dropped the prices. He didn't drop the prices. The company dropped the prices on Tesla models 6 times since the start of the year, kicking off a price war with mainstream brands like Ford and GM. Pricing strategy has been through the lens of the EV market and the efforts to protect Tesla's spot as number one seller. I don't think he cares if Tesla's number one seller. Again, the goal is to electrify all the things. For so long, people have seen price and infrastructure as limiting factors for buying an EV, and they've been wrong about price almost the entire time. Tesla's blown that out of the water, says Martin French, managing director at consultancy Barrellas, in an interview. They just said we can offer you a vehicle at about $40,000, and by the way, you can use our supercharger network. Sales were up in Q1. We knew that because we talked about Q1 sales. All right, then we talked about Monroney labels, and so with that, I want to thank you all for your time. Thank you, channel members and patrons, for your financial support. And I will catch you on the flip side. I'm going to go do some more housework, and then I've got some work to do. And then we'll catch you on Wednesday at the Tesla Life Show and What Drives Us. And then back here again Sunday for one of our little chats. Let's chat with Kacey and friends. A new software version has been detected on Teslafy.com. Is that on my car or somebody else's car? Somebody else's car. So we'll look into that, see if it's a FSD update. There is a new FSD update rolling around for some cars. It's supposed to be much smoother. I thought it was only on employee cars, but it may have moved into the safest drivers. I am salty. But I don't know if it actually was on one of their cars or if they were aware of some information they should not have had. And it's not long before it hits the fleet, so I'll let you know how it is when I get it. And I don't know if I mentioned anything. I did talk about how on the Tesla Life, my car had downloaded 6 gigs of data, and it wasn't a map update. And typically it uploads 6 to 8, 12 gigs of data, not downloading it. And it did get smoother in this area, so I don't know if it, even though the map version didn't change, maybe it downloaded the local tiles or something. I don't know. It's still not intervention free, but it's a lot more comfortable to let it operate around this area now than when we first got back to the Charleston Metro. And with that, catch you on the flip side, and thanks again. Bye. Thanks for spending an afternoon with me.